We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Chesam and Aleph in Meseches Sotah. This is Sotah Daf 28a. On the previous Amud, the Mishnah said that just like the waters test the wife, so too the waters test the husband. And the Gemara wants to know, what does it mean that the waters test the husband? And so the Gemara now is in the middle of suggesting, if you're going to say Di Isbe Avon, that if he has a sin, so Badki Le Maya, so then the water is going to test him. And Rashi explains Di Isbe Avon Sheba Alela Acha Shenisra, meaning maybe he had relations with her after she went into seclusion with a man that she was warned not to go into seclusion with. So maybe that's the sin we're talking about, and maybe in that situation the waters test the husband. But the Gemara says Ki Isbe Avon B'didei, if he has the sin, so mi Bodki La Maya L'Dido, would the waters even test her? Actually, in that situation, the waters would not even test the wife. V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa, V'niko ha'ishmei avon v'isha hi tisa es avon. It says the man is going to be innocent from sin, and then she is going to carry her sin. This is talking about a situation where she's guilty, and we understand that to mean bizman ish menuka me'avon, only at a time when the husband is clean from sin. So then hamayim bod kenesishto. So then the waters test his wife. But if the husband is not clean from sin, so ein hamayim bod kenesishto, so then the waters do not test his wife. So you can't say that it means that if he has a sin, then it's going to test them both, because on the contrary, if he has a sin, then it's not even going to test her. And Rashi explains, Bizman sheish menuka me'avon shelo ba la mishanesra olav ha'isha itisa avona shiv teku amayim. It means again, if he did not have relations with her from the moment that she became prohibited to him, so only in that situation then the wife carries her sin, meaning to say that the waters test her. So again, that cannot be the meaning of the Mishnah. And so the Gemara continues, Viela leboel. Rather, what does the Mishnah mean when it says that the waters test him? It means the boel. It means that the waters test the adulterer. But if that's the case, so listening Kedektani Seifa, so then it should be taught in the same language that's used at the end of the Mishnah. It said at the end of the Mishnah, Keshem shasur lebal, kach asur leboel. It said just like she's prohibited to her husband, so too she's prohibited to the boel. You could have used the same language in terms of saying that the boel would be tested. Rashi explains, Ela leboel lisni kach bod kenes aboel. It should have said that same language. Kach bod kenes aboel. So too the waters test the boel behedya. Could have said that explicitly. Kedetani seifa behedya kach asura leboel v'lo tana kach asura lo. It doesn't say asura lo to him. It says kach asura leboel. You could have used the same language over here. That kach again, that the waters also test the boel. It could have said it explicitly. And so the Gemara says liolam leboel. So no, really, the Mishnah is talking about the boel. It's saying again that just like the waters test her, so too bodkin es aboel. But why doesn't it say that explicitly? V'reisha aidi detana osa. But the reason is because at the beginning of the Mishnah, since it uses the language of osa her, so tani oso. So we use the language of oso him. We don't say the word boel. We use the pronoun him. But Seifa, but at the end of the Mishnah, Aidi Detana Baal, since it said the word Baal, that again, just like she's Asura, just like she's prohibited to the husband, so we use the word Baal, so Tana Boel. So that's why we also use the word Boel. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Shenemar ubo ubo, since the pasuk says ubo ubo. So again, that teaches us not only does the waters test her, it also tests him. As we said above, that refers to the boel. And the Gemara now says, Iboilu, they asked the following question. Bo ubo ka'amar. What does it mean, ubo ubo? Is it that they're darshaning the fact that it could have said bo and it said ubo, meaning we're darshaning the extra vav? O ubo ka'amar. Or does it mean to say that we're darshaning the extra word, that it repeats the word ubo, and that's what we're darshaning? What does the Mishnah mean? And the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here the following proof. The Mishnah goes on to say, Kashem sha'asura labal kach asura laboel. Just like she is prohibited to the husband, so too she's prohibited to the boel. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, nitma v'nitma. It says nitma v'nitma. And so you can prove whatever it meant over there, nitma v'nitma, that's what it means by ubo ubo. But the Gemara says we don't know what nitma v'nitma means. But still we have the same question. Nitma nitma kamar or nitma v'nitma kamar. What are we darshaning over here? Are we darshaning from the fact that there's an extra vav, or are we darshaning from the fact that it says the word twice? And so the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here a proof, midikatani seifa, from the fact that at the end of the Mishnah goes on to say, Rebbe Omer, that Rebbe says, Shnei pa'amim ha'amur b'parsha v'nitma echad lebal v'echad leboel. Rebbe is the one that says that we darshan the fact that it says the word v'nitma 2 times in the pasuk, and that teaches us a prohibition for both the husband and the boel. Mechlal de Rabbi Akiva vavi kadarish. So that implies that Rabbi Akiva, his entire drush is based on the fact that there's an extra vav. That's what he is darshaning when it comes to v'nitma, and that's also what he's darshaning when it comes to ubo. He's darshaning the extra vav. And now the Gemara clarifies all of the various psukim. The Gemara says, Hilkach, therefore. Rabbi Akiva, according to Rabbi Akiva, who darshans the extra vav, shisa kroi ksiv. It turns out that there's actually 6 psukim that are written that we are darshaning. Chad litzavo adidah, v'chad litzavo adidei. One is for her instruction, and one is for his instruction. Chad la'asiyah didah v'chad la'asiyah didei. One is for her action, and one is for his action. And chad liyadiyah didah, and one is for her knowledge. V'chad liyadiyah didei, and one is for his knowledge. So in other words, you have it says the pasuk 3 times, plus you have the 3 vavs, that's 6 times. V'Rebbe talasa kroi ksivi, and Rebbe says no, it's just 3 psukim that are written. Chad litzava, one again is for the instruction. The chad liyasiyah, and one is for the action. The chad liyadiyah, and one is for the knowledge. And Rashi explains, again, the Gemara said, V'yadayin b'haguva miboili nitma v'nitma darash mirabuya devave, avchad nitma v'chad v'nitma kadarash. Are we darshaning the extra vav, or are we darshaning the fact that it says nitma and v'nitma, it says it twice? And so then the Gemara ends up concluding shisa kroi, that again, according to the first opinion, according to Rabbi Akiva, there are actually 6 psukim that we are darshaning, meaning as follows. Shlosha ubo ksuvim sham. There's actually 3 times where it says the word ubo. Ubo hamayim hamamorim ha'ela b'mayayech latzbos beten. That first one, ubo, that's coming to teach us lahodia lanu. That comes to teach us. That's the idea of yediyah. The Gemara said one of them is liyadiyah. That's lahodia lanu, to tell us the beten v'hadar yarich. To tell us that in terms of the punishment, first the punishment is going to be the swelling of the stomach, and then the thigh. Shalom lahotzilaz. That way people won't start false rumors about the waters that they didn't work correctly. The pasuk wants to be clear exactly what the order of the punishment will be. Kedamina and parakama, like we say in the first parak. And then one ubo is v'hishka esaisha esmei hamorim hamaorim uvo ba hamayim v'gomer. That's where it says uvo. Letzava, what that means is that's for the instruction. What does that mean? Shakadosh Baruch Hu goes, or that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is decreeing sheyavo b'hamayim lamorim, that the water is going to come and it's going to be bitter waters for. In other words, that the waters are going to be effective. V'chad, and finally the last ubo v'hishka es hamayim. The Bach takes out the word la'asiyah there. The pasuk says v'hishka es hamayim v'hoisim nitma v'gomer. The pasuk goes on to say the word ubo, and that's la'asiyah. That's for action. What that means is kan hodia hakasav es Yisrael. Here the pasuk lets Klal Yisrael know d'mavtiach len. It's assuring them shivdekua hamayim, that the water is going to test her. Uvakulam ksiv vava yiser. In all of these cases of ubo, there's extra vavs, harei sheis, that comes out to 6 of them. And what that means again is didei, the boel, we're always referring to him, meaning the boel, and didah, the isha, didah refers to her, that refers to the wife. Yediyah v'tzava v'asiyah kidafarishis. We have a yediyah and a tzava and asiyah that applies to the wife and the boel. All 3 of them apply to both the wife and the boel. And the Gemara continues with Rebbe, and according to Rebbe, who doesn't darshan the vavs, so you just have 3 times again for tzavo, asiyah, and yediyah. So kashem shamayim bot kenosa, kach bot kenosa. And only where does he learn out this halacha? That just like the waters test her, they also test him, they also test the boel. And to that the Gemara answers, nafkalemi detanya latzbos beten v'lan pil yarech. He learns it from the following. We learned in a brayse that says latzbos beten v'lan pil yarech, and we understand that to mean biten over yerecho shel boel. That refers to the beten, the stomach, and the thigh of the boel. You see that it's testing the boel. And the Brisa goes on, Ata Omer bitan of Yerecho shel boel, oeno ela bitan of Yerecho shel neveles. You're saying that it refers to the bitano, the Yerecho of the boel, but maybe it's really referring to the betan and the Yorech of the neveles of the woman. Kishu Omer, but the pasuk already says v'tzafsa bitan of enafla Yerecha. It already says bitan on Yerecha, hare bitan of Yerecho shel neveles amor. The pasuk already identifies the stomach and the thigh of the woman. Umani mekayim latzbos betan v'lan pel Yorech. So therefore, what do I do with the pasuk according to Rebbe of latzbos betan v'lan pel Yarech, bitan over Yerecho shel boel? That refers to the betan and the Yarech of the boel. And the Gemara continues v'idach. So the other opinion that disagrees with Rebbe, hahu, what is that pasuk doing? Meaning when it says in this pasuk over here, latzbos betan v'lan pil Yarech, what does Rebbe Akiva do with that pasuk? What that is the moda la kohen, that the kohen has to let her know the betan bereisha v'hadar Yarech, that first the punishment will be by the stomach and then it will be by the thigh. Like Rashi just mentioned, in order that people don't start false rumors about the bitter waters, that they say it's not working as the pasuk stated. But the Gemara continues, v'idach, the other opinion, meaning according to Rebbe, im kein lichtov kra bitan of v'yerecha. If all it was teaching us was that the Kohen lets her know that the betan is first and then the yarech, it should have said bitan of v'yerecha. My betan v'yarech, why does it use this language of betan and yarech, meaning it says latzbos betan v'lan pil yarech, shma mino leboel. So you see from there that it's teaching us again that the boel, the waters also test the boel. But the Gemara says, but maybe that's all that the pasuk is teaching us. Maybe it's only teaching us that the waters test the boel. How do you know additionally this halacha that the Kohen lets her know that it's the betin first and then the yarech? Because the Gemara says, Im kein lichtov bitin over yarecho. If that was the case, if it was only telling us about the boel, so then it would have said bitin over yarecho. It would have clearly identified that it's talking about his betin and his yarech. My betin v'yarech. Why does it say latzpos betin v'lan pel yarech? So shmami not tarti. So Rebbe understands it teaches us both halachas. It refers, number one, to the idea that the boel is tested as well, and also additionally that he lets her know the order of the punishment, the betin first, and then the yarech. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Amar Rabbi Yoshua says, Kacha Yadorish Zechariah. That's how Zechariah darshan. He darshan from the extra vavs. But then he went on to say that according to Rebbe, we darshan from the extra words v'nitzma. And the Gemara says, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shalosh pa'amim ha'amurin b'parsha im nitzma, nitzma v'nitzma. There are 3 times that it says in the parsha the language of nitzma. Lama, why does it say it 3 times? We understand that it means echad lebal. Number 1, it means 1. It refers to the husband. V'echad leboel, and 1 to the boel. V'echad letruma, and 1 with regards to truma. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. That is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yishmael says, Kal v'chomer. We can make the following Kal v'chomer. Uma grusha shemuteres letruma. If a divorcee, she's allowed to have truma asura lekahuna, but she's prohibited to marry a kohen. So in this situation of a sota shasura betruma, who we're saying is asur, is forbidden in truma, and din shasura lekahuna. Isn't it obvious? You don't even need a pasuk. Isn't it a kal v'chomer that she should be prohibited to kahuna? And Rashi explains shlosha pa'amim. It says 3 times v'kine asishto v'hi nitma v'haisa im nitma tachas ishto v'nitma. Again, it says nitma 3 times. So again, according to the first opinion in the Brisa, according to Rabbi Akiva, 1 is for the Baal, 1 is for the Boel, and 1 is for Truma. And Rashi explains, V'echa the Truma sha'afilu hi bas Kohen. What it means is, even if the Sota is the daughter of a Kohen, Ubala Kohen, and her husband is also a Kohen, but if she's a Sota, nifsala minat Truma. So she's going to be puzzled, she'll be disqualified from Truma for being a Sota. And so then there was a response from Rabbi Yishmael, Kal v'chomer, that when it comes to the fact that she's prohibited to a Kohen, we can make a Kal v'chomer. Eino tzarech lavi min ha'mikra leposla min ha'kohuna. We don't need to bring a pasuk to show that a sota is disqualified from marrying a Kohen. Mili nasi lekohen, from marrying a Kohen. To be Kal v'chomer, asi, we can learn it from the following Kal v'chomer. Ma grusha bas Kohen shenes garsha mi-Yisrael. If we say by a divorcee, let's say you have a daughter of a Kohen who gets divorced, v'zera ein la, and she doesn't have any children, so the halach is she actually goes back to her father's house, shemuteres b'truma, and she's now muteres to get truma. She becomes permitted in truma again. It says she can eat from the bread of her father, but that divorcee is psula lekahuna. If she's a grusha, she's puzzle to marry a Kohen. So when it comes to a sota shepsula mitruma, where we're saying that she's disqualified as a sota from having truma miribuya denitma, that was learned out, we just said, from the pasuk of nitma kedekarmen, like we said above, eino din shepsula lekahuna. So Rabbi Yishmael argues, you don't even need a pasuk, it should be obvious that a sota is disqualified from the kahuna. Now Rashi points out over here, L'kaman parach, the Gemara later on will ask, V'lo ayri Rabbi Akiva b'psul kahuna klal. Rabbi Akiva never said anything about a sota being disqualified from kahuna. So why is Rabbi Yishmael responding to Rabbi Akiva, you don't need a pasuk for kahuna, we can learn it from a Kal v'chomer? Rabbi Akiva never said anything about the disqualification from kahuna. The lo atzercha kro, my kamer le, Rabbi Yishmael, what's Rabbi Yishmael's response over here? That Rabbi Yishmael is saying back that we can make a Kal v'chomer. And the Brisa continues, Ma'atam lomar v'hi nitma v'hi lo nitma. What's the meaning of the pasuk that the pasuk says that she is defiled and then it says that she's not defiled? And Rashi explains, Ma'atam lomar v'kineis ishto v'hi nitma, demashma devadai nitma. The pasuk says that we're talking about a situation where she certainly was defiled. U'ma'atam lomar o avar Allah v'hi lo nitma. Then the pasuk goes on to say a scenario where it says she's not defiled. If it's obvious, if the pasuk is talking about a case where we know that she was defiled, lama shosa, why should she drink? Why should she drink? V'ipshita de lo nitma. If we're talking about a case where we know for sure she was not defiled, lama mashka, why is he making her drink? So what is the meaning of the pasuk? That's what the Brisa here explains. Im nitma lama shosim, lo nitma lama mashka. If we're talking about a woman who certainly was defiled, why is she drinking? If she certainly was not defiled, why is he making her drink? And so therefore the meaning of the pasuk is actually as follows. Magid lo chakasav, rather, the pasuk is teaching us shahasafik asura, that in a situation of doubt, we're talking here about a woman where it's a situation of doubt whether there was nus, so the halach is that she is prohibited. And Rashi explains, Magid lo chakasav shalasafik asura v'achi kamar kra. Here's what the pasuk means. Isha zu, when you're talking about this woman who's a sota, shema nitma v'shema lo nitma, we're really talking about a situation, maybe she was defiled, maybe she wasn't defiled. V'kamar lach diyashken, and we're saying in that situation you have to give her to drink, levar hasveika, in order to clarify the doubt. V'ilo mashke lo asura, and the point over here is that if you don't give her to drink, so we're going to say that she is prohibited, meaning a situation of a sota where it really is a suffix. If you don't clarify the situation, we say that there is a prohibition. And the Brisa then goes on and says, Mikana tadon l'sheretz, you can learn from sota to the case of sheretz, which is the case of tumah. Umas sota shelo asa b'shogeg kamezid v'ones karatzin. If when it comes to sota, so the halacha is when it comes to adultery, we don't treat adultery by mistake, like the same as if it was on purpose. We don't treat adultery which was by coercion, by rape. We don't treat it the same as if it was done willingly, but still, asa b'savik kevadai. But still, when it comes to sota, we say a situation of doubt is treated like a situation of certainty. So sheretz, so when it comes to tumas sheretz, she'asa bo shogeg kamezid vonis karatzin, where when it comes to tumah, it doesn't matter if a person became tameh by mistake or on purpose, or it was coerced, or it was willingly. The person, there's always going to be tumah if there's a contraction of tumah. So there for sure, eino din sheyasa bo safek, certainly isn't it true we should treat a safek kevadai. And Rashi explains, "Umikana to lamen kal v'chomer l'sheretz." From here we can learn a kal v'chomer to a case of sheretz. Safek naga b'taharas, safek lo naga, meaning you have a situation where we're not sure whether the sheretz touched something and made it impure. The mechazkinon lo b'tuma misafek. We're going to say that out of a doubt, we're going to assume it's tamei. Sota lo asaba dechsivi lo nespasa asur nespasa muteres v'adin l'shogeg ishto ve'ishasish ima b'bayis. Let's say you have a situation again. The case where it's done, it's coerced, so there's not going to be a prohibition. Or the case, let's say, where it's b'shogeg. What's the case of shogeg? Let's say you have a situation where he's with his wife and with another woman who's married to somebody else in the house, v'niskavin l'ishtov and his damnalo, and so he's thinking it's his wife, and then it ends up that it's going to be even his damnalo zu, it ends up being this other woman. That's a case of shogeg. V'af hishkag, and she also made the same mistake. Kesvura shehubala, she thought that it was her husband. So in such a situation where there was a mistake, we don't treat that the same as a situation of mezid, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ches Amud Beis.